All right. Awesome. So, we're getting back together, and obviously, Dr. Goldberg is bragging about his trip to Maui with his background there, which we spent a few minutes talking about, of course. And he knows I love Maui. My wife and I love Maui, and it's a beautiful place. You can see he's in Wailea there, and he's looking across to Kanapali on the north end of Maui up there. So, beautiful area. Glad to have you back, though.
And it's, you know what? It was a breakaway um, moment for us. We hadn't been away. We hadn't been on a trip like that
Mm,
in over 2 years. So, it took
wow.
when I was asked to give that presentation in Newport Beach at Glidewell. I said to Lori, I said, you know what? Here's our opportunity. Let's go out there, I'll do my thing, and then we'll, you know, take a relatively short trip. Because from here, it's,
Oh my gosh.
11 hours,
What was your flight back like to New York?
9.5 hours. We had great tailwinds.
Where was it direct?
So yeah, so we went from Kauai to Honolulu direct to Newark.
Oh, okay. All right. That's not too bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. West Coast people were a little spoiled that way. Everything's direct, into Hawaii. But yeah.
Well, so we flew into Newport Beach,
Yeah.
Orange County Airport.
Yep.
So,
SNA. Yep.
right?
John Wayne, Santa Ana. Yep.
We did not have a direct.
Mm,
They did not have a
interesting.
direct.
So you
So
had
I
to
had,
go to LAX? Yeah.
had to drive to LAX.
Bummer. Yeah. Sacramento, Oakland, San Francisco, all direct flights. I don't no idea why SNA doesn't have a direct flight.
And
Um,
we had a direct flight from Newark to SNA.
yeah. What airline? All airlines don't have a direct?
So that's a good question. I don't know. So
What were you on?
our hub, unfortunately, is United.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So and I have status.
Yeah. Oh, so you wanted to use that. Yeah, you wanted to use that. Yeah, I would
But
imagine Southwest and Hawaiian, and maybe even Alaska, probably have direct flights, but who knows? SNA is nice, small airport. It's really nice. I fly in there a lot. So, yeah.
so we talked. So the the presentation I gave at this conference was on the physician referral magnet. So Jameson Spencer, who I work with, said to me, he said, how did it how did you get to have most of your patients referred by physicians?
Mm,
He said, was it by accident or did you do something purposeful? So I sort of did a post-mortem on my practice career. And it started by accident.
yeah.
Not, not really by accident. I mean, it
Good
happened.
luck. It was good luck.
My office was across the street from a medical center.
Yeah, it's a good spot. You were doing what were you were doing residency. You were doing on call stuff at the hospital.
Well, so I didn't do. I joined faculty.
Mm,
So joined faculty. Um, I had friends who were doing residencies, and the proximity of the practice just made it such that physicians started coming. But what I realized, and this is what I think Jameson wanted me to really, uncover, was that I realized that getting referrals from physicians is like, I mean, it's the penultimate. It's gold
mm,
because, well, I told you I'm having a little trouble with my ear. I'm having some trouble with my eyes. I just came from the eye doctor.
yeah.
So the eye doctor says, hey, listen, you know what? That cataract that we've been looking at, I think you need to have it done. I said,
Mm,
okay, who should do it? And he gives me the name of this woman. He says, she did Hillary Clinton.
Mm.
It's going to be fine. I mean, think about that. Am I going to second guess who to go to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's you get that confidence through the credibility, and that confidence comes through the referral from your physician.
So, you know, so after Jameson had asked me to do the presentation, I sat down and I wrote a book. That's what I do. So,
You're a great writer. Even your Facebook posts are their author quality for sure.
so that's also not by chance.
Yeah.
I don't know if I told you the story. I was pretty much of an A student, except in English.
Hmm.
I couldn't break a B in English, but anything. Like that. It was an ironclad ceiling. Even in college, I mean, I would I would write a composition. So my wife and I started dating before college, and so she's going to Brooklyn College, and I'm going to NYU, and I'm writing stuff for English composition, and she's a terrible writer. And she says, "Can you write something for me?" So I write something for her. She gets an A on what I wrote. I can't write anything but a B or less. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Have you ever seen Marcus Buckingham or Simon Sinek talk about that very thing about subjectivity of GPA and all that? Yeah.
Yeah, I love Simon Sinek.
It probably was you that was getting a B, not your writing. I bet if you put someone else's name on that writing, you probably get an A. There's just some disconnect you have with your professor.
It's interesting. So I realized that.
Yeah.
And in parent teachers conferences with our kids,
Mm.
I had that exact conversation with a teacher,
Mm.
and happens to be an English teacher. And my son was not getting good grades.
Yeah.
And I said, "You pigeonholed him.
Mm.
Because I read that, and I
Yeah.
said that was pretty good." And at that point, I had already become a writer.
Yeah.
So becoming a writer was an interesting thing. So I I started writing a newsletter in 1984.
A couple years ago.
Yeah. And then when the internet came on, I started writing emails to my patients.
Mm-hmm.
And I would send them, before I'd send them out, I would send them to one of my friends who was a New York City public school English teacher, and one of my patients who was a New York Times bestselling author.
Wow, you had a couple editors right there.
And it was the New York Times bestselling author, Dan Max, that enabled me to find my voice.
Mm.
And he did it in such a great writing coach, because he wouldn't tell me what to do. He would guide me, so that I wound up developing my own style, and it works.
Yeah. No, I've read some things that you've written. It is good. So
I'd love to go back in time and stick it to my grade school teacher.
Have them grade this. Hey, don't put your name on it. Can you grade this for me?
It is funny.
That's the problem with GPA. I think, people look at that and go, well, the teacher just didn't like the kid or whatever. It's tough. I mean, math, I think, and science, there's not a lot of leeway there, but you get into English,
very subjective.
It's very subjective, and it becomes a challenge. So I get that. So you come back from this experience of, hey, physicians are referring to me. How did I do this? What was my quote dumb luck? And then you cookbook and recipeed this right into a book.
So of course it's more than just one thing. Mm-hmm. Actually, in part of the book, I actually have a map. Mm-hmm. And
a lot of it has to do, and we talk about this all the time. A lot of it has to do with mindset. A lot of it has to do with you, the dentist, feeling that you're on equal footing, that you're talking on the same level. So some of that has to do with speaking the same language. So medical terminology. I mean, now soap notes is a big deal because people want to do medical billing, right? You have to follow a certain. I mean, I did that always. I was trained to do that in my residency program. I lived with them. So I lived in the hospital. I went to faculty meetings. I went to joint conferences. So I was on the oral surgery staff, being that I was the director of the general practice residency program that was under the auspices, the umbrella of the oral surgery department. So we had joint conferences with plastics and ENT all the time. So I would go to those conferences. So you get to hear what's going on. A general dentist doesn't necessarily have to do that. I think it's great if you're going to have a practice that is very collaborative with physicians. You sort of want to do things the way they do things.
So gotta be on the same page. Yeah.
So I acted like a subspecialist. So if a primary care doctor sends a patient to a gastroenterologist examines the patient, maybe does a procedure, they send a report back to the primary care doctor. I always did that. And that's really the key. So people say, well, I don't have relationships with physicians. Well, actually you do. You're just not capitalizing on them because every single one of your patients probably
has a physician.
Right. So right away, there's the potential.
So let me clarify. So let's say I've got Ricky Bobby coming in. He's my patient. I do treatment on him. I then send a letter to his physician unsolicited. Yeah.
With a cover letter saying, you may not have seen a letter such as this from other dentists. Again, trying to differentiate. But we believe that the mouth is such an integral part of the body. And you, as the primary care doctor, looking over the 360-degree view of that body, should have the information that we have. So we're going to send you reports. If you don't want reports, just let us know and we'll stop.
Okay. Did anybody ever opt out?
No, of course not. That would sort of be like malpractice.
Yeah, why would you do that?
Exactly. Why would you do that?
You're just being nice by offering it.
So, and when we started, actually, for the most part, it was all by fax. Because physicians dealt with fax. No HIPAA issues involved. You just send faxes.
Yep. Now it's probably all email with attachment.
So as long as it's HIPAA compliant.
Got it. And do you talk about that in the book, how to be HIPAA compliant with the communication, or is that something that you need to just have already in place?
So most of the well-known email programs that interface with our practice management systems have a facility of doing that HIPAA compliantly.
Okay. Got it. So I'm just making sure I got the picture here. You just start sending letters to them, reporting them what you're finding, and hoping that doctor, that physician's actually reading that letter.
So most of them probably won't.
Okay.
But it only takes a couple.
Okay.
when you get somebody who raises their hand,
zero in now. Yeah.
That's right. And then you start building a relationship. Not all the doctors are going to listen to you. First of all, they're really busy,
and they have a mentality.
So yes, there is. It's not an adversarial relationship. So, and this is where the mindset comes in, I think, because I've had dentists tell me that they're like scared of picking up a phone and talking to a physician. Why?
Yeah.
Well, some of it is there's this thing, if you have to, it's the 800-pound gorilla, might as well say
Let's talk about it.
You went to dental school because you couldn't get into medical school.
Yeah, that's what their perspective is.
Now, that's a legacy mid-1990s.
Yeah.
Because pre-1990s, physicians made a lot more money than dentists did. In the 1990s, it started switching.
Yep.
To the point where the average dentist now makes more than the average physician. Not specialist, but the average primary care pediatrician.
Yeah.
Dentists make more money.
Yeah. Crazy.
It's flipping around.
Yep.
Dentists have been losing steam a little in the last couple of years. But there is that, I think, sense of maybe they're better than I am. Even in places. So I joined the faculty at Columbia, and in our dental school, our medical schools and dental school students took the first 2 years together.
Yep.
They learned basic sciences the same.
I hear that from a lot of dentists that they were right, rubbing elbows. There's all in the same classes. Yeah. Have to learn the same things.
Yeah. With some minor cutouts. Which another issue. But look, I look at it like this. We're not going to change the system, but so I just went to the ophthalmologist this morning, right? He's looking at my eyes. What the heck is the difference between an ophthalmologist
and an optometrist?
And a dentist? I mean, he's looking 2.5 inches north of where I've been looking all my life.
Yeah.
Why should my knowledge base be any different than his knowledge base? I mean, one could actually argue maybe my knowledge base needs to be broader than his knowledge base, body-wise.
The connection, systemic, all of it. Yeah.
So anyway, you communicate with the docs, and you use the opportunity. So I told you I would email reports. Well, as information started becoming available about the interaction of different things, what we now call the oral systemic connection, I would send out newsletters that I wrote on the topic to the doctor. So I had a bunch of patients who were psychiatrists. Across the Columbia's medical center is affiliated with the New York State Psychiatric Institute, which is like lots and lots of psychiatrists. So they're prescribing medication that's drying out patients' mouths. And they started prescribing SSRIs, which start causing bruxism, clenching. And I said, I need to educate these people about what they're doing
Hmm.
that's having a negative impact
Yeah.
on their patients' oral health. And then I became the go-to guy. So I had a patient who was a psychopharmacologist. That's all he did was dispense SSRIs and anti-anxiety meds.
Hmm.
And he would send me loads of patients
Hmm.
who were complaining of jaw
Mm-hmm.
soreness after being given a prescription for, an SSRI. So what I did, I built upon that. It's basically knocking on the door, somebody opening it up a little bit, and then you going inside.
Yeah. Well, how did the physicians respond to you educating them about what they were doing?
So I don't educate them about what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be respectful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So and I see that as a real problem with sleep, because I'm working with Jameson Spencer and a lot of sleep and TMJ stuff, and I have dentists who think that they know more than the physicians, and that's never a good posture to have.
Mm-hmm.
So it's respecting that this is my scope of practice. I'd like to tell you how what you're doing is impacting my scope of practice. Because ultimately, we both want the same thing: happy, healthy patients.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about it. And you're going to find doctors who are going to have that attitude. Who the hell are you telling me what to do?
Mm-hmm.
Those are not the docs you're going to collaborate with. And I would say maybe 1 out of 5 are like that. But 4 out of 5 are going to be pretty darn
open to it. Yeah.
And not only that, most of them actually wound up becoming patients themselves. Why? Because they realized that, oh my God, here's somebody who A, really cares, and B, knows his stuff. So I wound up treating hundreds of physicians. So they weren't just, some of them started as patients and became referrers. Many of them started as referrers and became patients. And physicians.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah.
Physicians are more, on the average, I would say, that physicians are more scared of dentists than the average Joe.
Interesting. Why is that?
Well, it's a little knowledge. I mean, we take some of the things that we do for granted. So, for instance, let's say it's giving an inferior alveolar nerve block, right, to numb the lower jaw. In physician terms, that is a really, really difficult thing to do. We do it every day. But they look at something like that and go, oh my. I mean, they see how long the needle is. They know a little bit about the anatomy of the head and neck. And it's like, where are you sticking that thing? How close to my brain is it going to go? So my experience is that they're more frightened of us than the average patient.
Yeah. I love the thought, get them to become your patients. That to me is huge.
Oh.
I think most people listening would say, well, how did you get physicians to become your patients? It's just, you became relational with them in some form or fashion, whether it was the letter, the writing, the connection on faculty, at the hospital, whatever it is, right?
It could be at your church.
Yep.
Mosque or synagogue.
Mm-hmm.
It could be at the golf club course, right? I mean, whatever it is, once you start developing a trust. It's why it's so important to act a certain way, regardless of whether or not you're in the practice or you're out of the practice.
Yeah.
I mean, that's your reputation.
Yeah.
You know, if your reputation is a fun-loving goof-off, that's fine, but that's not going to translate well into trust and respect, especially on the part of someone like, or anyone who, for instance, is like really scared.
Yeah.
And it builds upon itself.
Well, you're putting there, if they can experience it with you, obviously they're going to then speak about that experience they had with you as a patient to their patients. That's what you're trying to create.
Oh, that's the best. I mean, do you want to know who I go to?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right?
Magic, the magic sauce. And then, of course, you have referral pads that you end up giving to these physicians that have your, just like the specialist would, to send to you, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then when I started writing books, I would give them books to hand out.
Mm-hmm.
So when I wrote, the first one was, what the tooth fairy didn't tell you. And that was sort of basic information for people. And I would give that was my business card.
Mm-hmm.
Now, expensive business card, right? It cost me, I don't know, probably cost me $10, $11 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Author price for the book, expensive business card.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, how much is your lifetime patient value?
Mm-hmm.
And I would posit that the lifetime patient value of a patient that is referred by a physician is significantly higher.
Yeah, it's going to be more. There's just more trust. More, they're going to be doing more dentistry. All of it.
Not only that, they're stickier. They won't leave your practice because they don't want you going back to the referral source and say, "Hey, what happened to that what happened to that patient?"
Yeah, they don't want to go back to their physician also and say, "I never went where you said for me to go,"
or I went, or I didn't go to them because they didn't accept my insurance. Now that's another thing that you have to confront in the book, because most physicians don't talk about money. Dentists talk about money, and that too is a differentiator between physicians and dentists. And a lot of physicians think of us. I mean, I've heard physicians say, you dentists, you're a bunch of money grubbing, like, so I remember I'm treating an ear, nose, and throat doc, and I had just finished my orthodontics and craniofacial orthopedics program, and I said, I'm going to start treating TMJ.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to this one ENT, and I said to Jonathan, I'm going to start treating TMJ.
Mm-hmm.
Now, should know that 1 in 10 ENT patients come there complaining of ear pain. That's not ear pain.
It's jaw pain.
Jaw pain.
Yeah.
So 10%. So if they're seeing 30 patients a day,
mm-hmm. Three could be seeing you.
That's right.
Yeah.
So he said to me, now he's a part of a big group called ENT Analogy Associates, probably the biggest ENT practice in the country. 75 plus offices, some like 250 docs. And their thing is, we accept like every insurance and we will see you right away.
Yeah.
That's their unique selling proposition.
Yeah.
So he said to me, what insurance do you take? Now, I was never an insurance guy.
Yeah.
And I made a mistake. I said, I don't take insurance.
Mm.
What I should have said
Mm-hmm.
is that TMJ isn't covered by most insurances.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I hear that all the time. People ask, people call up, new patients call up, do you take my insurance? Well, what's your problem? Maybe their problem isn't even covered by insurance.
That's right.
What's the insurance question all
Yeah,
about?
it's just they don't know what else to ask. In fact, their treatment plan is going to be well above over what their maximum is. It's not going to matter anyway. And quote, not accepting insurance doesn't mean their insurance isn't going to be billed. And depending on how you do that. Now, you were fee for service, but a lot of these offices were helping get out of network with insurance, which just means you're not being dictated by the fees. You're able to charge your fee and the insurance will pay you the fee. And we teach offices all the time how to get out of network. That's the first step. You maybe the long term is fee for service, but you take one step at a time to get there, and that's to become an out of network provider, which means all your patients are being charged the same rate. And we would love to help offices move in that direction. That is better for dentistry. Yeah.
We need to come up with a better term.
Yeah.
That's
It's not out of network or fee for service. Those aren't great terms, right? It's just, yeah. I try to, we use some terminology like you have an open network plan. We tell them we explain what we're going to do. We're going to bill your insurance. The insurance is going to pay us. And you're not going to experience a difference financially. And that's what patients are. They think like medical. And that's where these physicians are coming from. When you say, I don't take insurance, they go, oh, well, patients can't even come to you then. They don't get that.
They don't, right. Physicians have no clue, because they don't deal with it. They don't talk about money. They don't talk about it. They don't talk about anything other than what they need to take care of you. And even that, they're squeezed.
Oh man. It's not something that the physician, the general public are aware of. And so you have to be willing to get into that conversation with them. And you have to be confident in your conversations, no matter what you're talking about, especially with this one. I find so many doctors are afraid to have this conversation, to move in this direction. They're living in fear. They're in network because they're afraid. That's not a great place to be. That's not where you want to run your business from. And so we're passionate about teaching offices how to be free of that fear and show them the numbers and show them example after example after example of offices that get out of restrictive insurance and thrive.
Unshackled.
What's that?
Unshackled.
Unshackled. Yes. Free of that shackling, those restrictions for sure. Yeah. It's amazing what we will put up with because we just don't know any different. I love talking to university students, dental students. They're like, what? You could be out of network? I mean, they just don't have any idea. So yeah, completely agree.
I teach at Temple.
Yeah.
I teach practice management.
Yeah.
And part of it is that the administration has no clue.
They didn't know. Yeah. They haven't been out there doing it that way. Yeah.
Not only that, but there's organized dentistry is funded.
Yeah.
By the insurance.
Yeah.
Business.
Absolutely.
By the equipment companies, the product companies. That's where they get a lot of money from them.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. That even universities have dental insurance company names on the sides of their buildings. We need to wake up. We need to wake up and understand what's going on out here. So back to the book. So ENT referrals are great. Having a referral pad.
So I would say, ENT, we talked about ENTs, psychiatrists.
Yep. Okay.
Cardiologists.
Yeah.
We did a lot of screening for people who were going to have surgery. I actually wrote I put a collage of faces together, of all the different specialties that referred to me.
Hmm.
And I mean, it's, I, oh, plastic surgeons. Oh my God.
Yeah, for cosmetics.
I mean, when I taught one of New York City's premier plastic surgeons the concept of vertical dimension, how far apart and how loss of vertical dimension would have a
Shrink that face.
significant
Yeah.
impact on his plastic surgery.
How it was going to turn out. Yeah.
It was like, oh my God. So what's interesting is that plastic surgeons and ENTs train with oral surgeons.
Oh, really?
Yes. So there is an affinity already for plastics and ENTs to deal with dentists.
Hmm. That's cool. I didn't know
Yes.
that.
Ah, yeah. So we had
So,
joint conferences,
love it.
ENT, plastics, and oral surgery.
That's good. So, what else do people need to know about the book?
Um, I can give you a link.
Yeah, where do they get it?
Um, I haven't published it yet.
Oh, okay. So, hot off the press, really, huh?
Right now, it's an ebook. So what I'll do is I'll send you the link.
Okay. Yeah, everybody request the link and we'll get it out to you guys. All right, awesome.
I'll get it out. I'll get it out to you.
All right, cool.
Because I think, there are so many reasons that physician referred patients are valuable. And you're gonna also get people who care about their health.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that
a higher quality patient.
And we had this, or maybe we can always have more conversation about case acceptance.
Yes, we are going to continue that next time. We said we're going to talk about objections and things like that. Yeah.
However, do you think that your case acceptance will go up when that patient is seen by their physician?
Absolutely.
It's almost automatic. I don't have the number, but I would probably venture to say that my case acceptance was in the 90% range. And I know that Jarvis Analytics says that the benchmark should be 65%, but the actual number is 35%. 35%. You tell people they need something, and only 35% of them say yes. That's
too low.
Way too low. I mean, we're not doing our job efficiently. So I think that's another reason that you want to try and lean on physician referrals wherever you can.
Love it. Okay. So we'll send the link out. If people want the link, request it. We'll get it to you. And obviously, if you want help with anything with your practice, you can go to allstardentalacademy.com. You can email Heather at allstardentalacademy.com and get there. You can go to Practice Perfect Systems, right? And check out Dr. Goldberg and his team. We love just helping dentists. We just think alike. And we love that it creates, hopefully, good content for you guys to listen to and to pay attention to. And please share this link. This will be on YouTube. So share this link with your colleagues, maybe someone you know coming out of dental school. Give them a head start. We'd love to help any way we can. So, all right. Thanks, Dr. Goldberg. It's good seeing you again.
It's great seeing you. We're going to talk next month.
Let's stop the recording and we'll get our next meeting scheduled.